But today I'm especially excited because I've been wanting to do this with Penny Peirce for the whole year. She's been on my wish list. And I discovered her, she's probably my favorite author in 2018. And I discovered her through Sharon Warren, who introduced me to her book, Transparency. And it was such an amazing, deep book that we decided we needed a study group. We needed to really dive into this. It took us over 4 months to go through the book, and we invited Joanne Tatham, who's here with us today, to be with us in that, I believe. And we there were some wonderful concepts, and the book has a lot of activities to explore yourself and go deeper. So we did all that. And a couple of the things you'll hear about today that were really impressive to me was this concept of vertical and horizontal transparency and what the difference is. And vertical transparency, how it can actually raise your vibrational frequency and help you be more in tune with intuition and other people. And so it's just this whole interesting thing about vertical transparency. And then this thing called liminal space. This was the first time I'd ever heard about liminal, and what that meant was in Penney's book. And this whole idea of transition and change, and how liminal is a stage you move through that is really important. So I hope we'll hear a little bit about that today too. And then soul groups and group work. It's another part of her book. And of course, that's what I consider all of us as a soul group. And how do we really function at the highest level in group dynamics. And so all of this is part of her work. She is known for her ability to present complex ideas in common sense and easy to understand ways. She's also a specialist in intuitive development, and in that movement, she's specializes additionally in transformation, in energy dynamics, in expanding perception, and dream work. So these are all specialties of hers. She's consults and coaches government leaders, psychologists, scientists, celebrities. She bridges all these worlds. So it's just so amazing how she can integrate so much. And Penny has 10 books, but her most recent is is Transparency, but also Leap of Perception and Frequency and Intuitive Way are also very popular books of hers that are wonderful. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Penny, and she's offered to do our opening meditation or centering activity, as well as, her presentation, which will be very interactive and dynamic. We're going to have all kinds of opportunities to interact this morning. So she'll just move from one through the other. So help me welcome Penny. We can use our reaction if we want to practice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Robin. I can already feel how fun the group is. So I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, just a word or two before I start the meditation, in that I really started off as a designer, graphics, interior design, and so forth, and kind of morphed along the way into working more and more with intuition. And in graphics, you have to design logos for people and represent states through symbols. And it was just training to become an intuitive, because it didn't exist when I was growing up. You can say, what are you going to be when you grow up? So I did that. And then I started noticing more and more about the acceleration on the planet and the process we were all going through, the shifting of consciousness. And then I realized this was really about transformation. And then I got really interested in that whole process of transformation, which has been kind of my main focus for quite a few years now. But of course, intuition is a big part of that. So we'll talk about that a lot in a little bit. But first, I wanted to do a meditation that works with the diamond light body, or your transparent self. So if you will just simply close your eyes. And just bring yourself inside your skin so that you are being centered. You can imagine that you're focusing yourself in the geometric center of your head. right where the pituitary and pineal glands are, and bring attention right into that spot. It's like an electromagnetic center that you're back behind your eyes, kind of looking out. So you're inside your body. And just pay attention to your breath, easy flow. Let it flow all the way in and turn and flow all the way back out again. And at the very end, turn and flow back in again, sort of like a figure eight. So let yourself be relaxed, but excited, peacefully excited, alert. And so what I'd like you to do is imagine that right behind your back is your diamond light self, your diamond light body. And he or she, they look like you, but no blockages. Total, transparent energy body. And that you is standing there, and it puts its hands on your shoulders. And you may feel it a little bit and imagine feeling it, because it's a very high frequency, but very pure and clean and simple, and actually very peaceful. This is the you without fear, the you without any blockages. And as you attune a little bit to the vibration of the hands and start to adjust toward that level of vibration, now your diamond light self can slide inside from the back and match up with your physical body, part for part. So as your diamond light self comes in and starts to settle in, you may notice you have a diamond light brain that goes into your physical brain. And as soon as it starts to match up with one of the physical parts, the vibration of the physical part rises into its more ideal level of functioning. So the brain clears. Old worries, old shadows can just melt away. You have diamond light eyes that go inside your physical eyes, and diamond light ears, and diamond light vocal cords, and a diamond light heart that goes into your physical heart, and so forth. And you can just kind of slowly scan through your body, noting that there is a very ideal version of the physical part that is coming in. It's almost like to re-educate the physical part, which may have gotten programmed with some old programming or something, or maybe contracted, or not sending too much energy, or sending too much energy. So scan through, and even your blood, there's diamond light blood particles. There's diamond light cells that are like little particles of light that go inside every cell. So every organ, every, bone marrow, everything. So let that take over. And as it does, you may feel like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but you do. And you can talk to that diamond light body, but you do. You know the ideal pattern for me. So I'm going to hand it over to you, and I'm just going to fall into you and let you teach me, let you show me, and let you return every part to its natural order. And you don't have to know what it's doing, even just know that it is happening. And it can happen actually fairly quickly. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out thing. Because usually when part of the body feels the better pattern, it wants it. And it will just immediately shift into that level. So just get that feeling now that the diamond light body is taking care of everything. And as you fall into it, you may get a sense that, wait a minute, hey, I am the diamond light body. Aha, this is who I really am. And I do know what I'm doing at this higher level. I do know my life purpose. I do know how to be healthy and harmonious. It's natural to me. And just let that happen. You do know how to do almost anything as soon as you put your attention on it. And you can kind of open your skin a little and make it more porous and let the light go out into the field and space around your body and kind of light up your aura, or your personal environment, so that you're sitting inside a field of diamond light as well. And of course, diamond light is really the closest we can get, I think, to the vibration of the soul and of the non-physical divine realms. So as you tactfully, what's the word I want to say, physically feel that vibration, you attune yourself to that level. And as soon as you attune yourself to that level, you have access to all the knowledge from that level and the wisdom and the talent, all the abilities, all the possible realities. It's all there. So you can just sit in that for just a minute. And as you breathe in, even the oxygen becomes like prana. It becomes made of shiny light. Okay, so now you can stay in this energy. You can remember it when you want to remember it. You can almost like take a little energy snapshot of it in your mind's eye right now, so that you can remember to return to this state of being more easily. But let's come back and know that we're kind of sharing a big field now of that diamond light, which is, I think the key to transparency, because it is our transparent self. So come on back. Engage your left brain again. And I want to start to describe to you a little bit of a precursor to the material, because I think we need to understand what's been happening in the world for a while here and how it relates to transparency. And I'm sure you all are very aware of this too, but I'll just kind of synthesize it, is that there really has been this acceleration on the planet for quite a few years. I mean, at least 20 that I'm aware of, more than that probably, where every year it just seems more knowledge, more, excuse me, more data, everything's faster, more processing in the mind, and it gets overwhelming, gets exhausting, in fact. But as that acceleration occurs, our bodies start accelerating along with the planet. And that means that we, in the early stages of it, we get kind of uncomfortable because we're going beyond our comfort zone of our old vibration. And as we raise up, we may have symptoms of that, like heart pounding, rashes, fevers, heat, electrical vibes, just irritability, all kinds of things. And then as we adjust, those things even out and go away. But every time a new wave comes through, you may feel it again, that, I'm revved up. And like I always forget that it's a wave and I have to go eat carbohydrates or something and try to calm myself down. But so you may have trouble sleeping, just erratic energy expression. But as you embrace it and allow yourself to let your body adjust to the new frequencies, it evens out. But what's happening then is that acceleration raises frequency, and that gives us the experience of things going faster. And that means that time speeds up. So what's really happening is we're having a really strange sense of a change in the way we experience time. It's not so linear anymore. It's not past, present, future. It's because it's so fast, it's getting more present. Everything's coming into the present moment, and the present moment is expanding and including more and more stuff. And it's all in the now. And so that means that the present is encompassing the past and the future, because those are just alternate realities. Really, every moment experience you've had is just another combination of frequencies that was a reality you had, or might be a reality that you could have. So in a certain way, there's no more future. There are potential realities now. And that's a weird thing to start to get used to. But when you come into the present moment and live in this ball, that's where transformation starts. And so life becomes very fast. And in fact, we get more instantaneous results from thought and the non-physical level into the physical materialization. It's like the blink of an eye. So you can materialize things very quickly, and you can dematerialize things very quickly. And it's really a function of your attention, not intention, attention. When you place attention on and in something, it comes towards you, comes into the physical, it drops in frequency, and it starts to show up in the physical world. When you get bored and take your attention out of something, it dissolves and goes back into the unified field. So the whole idea of creating the reality you want is getting easier and easier. We just have to understand the principles of energy and vibration and so forth, and the mind. But so at any rate, probably you are seeing this yourself, that like repercussions, for instance, you do something, like you gossip about somebody and it happens back to you. It's like instantaneous mirroring or instantaneous healing. A lot of people are having what? It just went away, the thing. So I think this is going to become very common. But when that acceleration happens, the next step that happens is that the subconscious mind starts emptying. So all the things that we used to suppress, that we didn't want to look at, that were fear-based, that we could shove down into the subconscious, they can't stay there anymore because it's too low a vibration. And all that stuff, it doesn't even have a place to hide anymore. So it pops up into the conscious mind. And that means daily reality. And that means we're being flooded with fear right now. Lots of our own fear thoughts that we used to have that are reenacting perhaps, but then everybody's doing it. So we're kind of swimming around in a sea of, this flotsam and jetsam of everybody's old wounds and fears and needs for security and so forth. So it's a very confusing time. And I'll get into that a little bit more, but because of the speeding up of things and the instantaneousness of things, if you're open and if you have been clearing yourself of the fear as you go along when it comes up, which is what we really need to be doing, is it comes up so we can see it again and review it from the God's eye view or from the soul's eye view and say, oh, that little thing, that was so silly that I got scared about that because that's not even real now, or that was my mother's idea. So we don't need to hold it. So we can clear things pretty easily now too, quickly. And that then speeds us up even more. And at that point, we start to notice this discrepancy in kind of the old, I call it the information age reality and the industrial age reality. Those were slower realms, and the new intuition age reality, where we're moving from just left brain perception into right brain and left brain and body and field, where there is, we're being sourced from everywhere, and we're aware of that non-physical realm, very much so. So we start to feel really limited by the world. And we start to see institutions and certain people and, organizations that are really stuck. And we don't want to actually participate with them anymore. It's like we want our soul group, we want people on our wavelength where things can flow and we can have that smooth, frictionless experience. And that is leading us toward this whole huge idea that's up now, which is let's clear the clutter, and all those fear-based subconscious ideas, that's the clutter. It's in the way between us, the true self of the diamond light body or the soul self, and the personality and what we do here as humans. And so it's almost like it's painful to have too much clutter right now. Yeah. And so that is then causing us to become aware of this word transparency, because it's kind of the opposite of the way we've been doing things. And we have a sense of that, you know. So at any rate, that makes us aware of the next step in this is that the reality that we were living in, that was actually, it's very based on linear perception. I already said past, present, future, beginning, middle, end. Here's my goal. It's over there. I have to cross this empty space to get to it because I'm a solid object and my goal is a solid object and there's nothing in between. So I have to use a lot of willpower to get over there to it. And, you know, it's put in your dues, cause and effect thinking. That's what we were programmed with for a long time, right? And now we're in the present moment. Everything's in the present moment with us. We can ask for it and it will be given if you know that that's true. So we're increasingly now aware of the feeling of that old reality. It is dense, and the people who are in it feel real solid in a way. You know, it's and I call it the opaque reality. It's like you can't see through it, or you think you can't see through anything, or you don't want to see through because what might I find? You know, like it's awful that back in there. You know, so let's just stay where we are. So we're very aware of that old kind of way of being in the world and making a life happen, and this new way that's coming in. We're kind of in the doorway in a way right now. We're stepping through and sometimes hesitating, but a lot of us are over there and then we kind of come back in the doorway and then we go back again and come back, you know, we're checking. At any rate, so you start to recognize this opaque reality in your body, really. It's a felt sense of a kind of a state of being, you know, and it has, oh gosh, it's slow, it's sticky, it's restrictive, it feels antiquated, like dinosaur kind of consciousness, or flat, like there's no dimension to it. Or it's all up in the left brain and so heady and intellectual and it needs proof and, you know, it's skeptical about everything. There's no sense of faith or an ability to have empathy, those kind of things. So we can start to feel this a lot and distinguish it, which is a very key skill actually in intuition development, which is what I've been working on a lot lately, is being able to discern these very subtle states of being. Like, when am I in the old consciousness? When am I back to my true self? When am I getting visions from the new reality? Or something mundane of like, what do I want to eat for lunch? Or when do I leave the house to be on time? You know, these are all states of being in your body that if you pay attention, oh, I know I need to leave right now. There'll be a combination of stuff in your muscles and chakras, you know, that tell you this is it. So if we can start paying attention to those subtle things, I think it's really important right now. But at any rate, part of what slows reality down into that old thing is that we see ourselves with a line around us, like we have an inside reality and then there's the outside world out there, and it's a big bad outside world. It's so huge and negative, and it could hurt us. So I've got to protect myself constantly and keep vigil out for what might come in and interrupt my contentedness, you know, and safety. And so there's constant watching and it's like suspiciousness and stuff, you know, where we just don't feel safe because we created an imaginary gap between me and the outside world. Does that make sense? You guys can just nod. Yeah. And I have a goal, but I don't have it yet because it's in the future. And so I'm anxious about getting it. But really, it's all in the present moment with you. So you don't have to go anywhere. You just kind of ask for it and it shows up in your field in the moment with you. This is how life is becoming easier. And as we start to get hints of this, we start to see what the transparent reality is going to be like. So if you're used to really living with negativity, or, when you have a reaction to something, you contract, like a little sensitivity plant. You just inhale and then forget to exhale. So you're holding energy and not letting things move, and you don't have fluidity. And you have attachment to your possessions, your creations, whatever. Because there's no sense of faith in the flow. We got to preserve what we have, So there is a, oh gosh, and then there's all these fixed ideas and belief systems and shoulds and the yes buts and if then, this kind of thinking that locks us into the left brain. And it's a very small world in there, All right, so this idea of having a separate reality always creates gaps. You see, it's between me and you, me and my goal, my present and my future, my present and my past. And so to get anywhere or do anything, you have to cross this empty space, which supposedly takes time in our mind, and it's effort. And it makes life a chore, kind of. So we're starting to learn this other way. And that's all in Leap of Perception. You can go learn about it in that book. But this is just kind of a quick review. But when fear runs us in this opaque reality, at that point, we do not allow ourselves to be seen for who we are, because we have a lot of judgment about ourselves. We don't feel our self-esteem. We feel all the things we're not. And so then we have to create all these methodologies to hide, trick people, wear masks, please people, whatever it is, to be safe. And that causes opacity again. And so we don't let ourselves be seen, and we lie, we keep secrets, we avoid things, we charm others, or we become dominating to control reality, and we become often hard-hearted. That then, not only we don't let ourselves be seen, but then we can't really see other people either, because probably everybody's doing this in some way. And so we just kind of resign ourselves to the fact that, well, nobody's ever going to know me, and I won't really know anybody else because this is normal. Terrible suffering. But it's changing now. And I think that we're learning to recognize this thing. When I'm in the old condensed, dense place and my body feels like this, or I'm back in the flow, getting stuff coming through. I see people, they see me, everything's okay. And you can change your vibration, your preferred state. It's up to you, right? Nobody can make it safe enough for you to do it. And of course, COVID is kind of our great benefactor in this, in this odd way, because it is causing us to not go out and run around and distract ourselves. And we have to face ourselves and have time, quiet time, be restricted, get bored, see what's underneath the surface of things. So I think that COVID is one of the great ways that we're learning to get rid of our clutter. Okay. So then, like, what is the transparent reality then? And I think transparency, I always think of it a bit like a sieve, like if you take a sieve and put it upside down, you've got all these holes in it and some solid areas. And that's kind of the way we are, you know, in our personality. Our aura is kind of like a sieve. We have a fear speckling throughout our field, and we have clear light where we've had love and compassion and trust and faith and proven those things to ourselves. But wherever we have the fear, the light from the soul and the collective consciousness, which is constantly dropping in frequency to come in and create this reality that we're in, it can't get through those dense places. It gets blocked. It gets through where the holes are, you know? So part of this process is to notice when a fear is starting to surface and don't make it solid. Engage with it. See, what was that all about anyway? You know, and entertain it in a way, and then see where the mistake of perception was or the misalignment with truth was, and then kind of like laugh at it a little bit. Well, just that, you know, make it like something a child would do, and, you know, with their baby mind when they didn't know enough. And as soon as you get the understanding, it clears. In other words, it stops being held as a tight thing, and it opens up and dissolves back into the field. And all the energy that was held in that little idea is now free to be used for creativity and love and whatever, joy and celebration and so forth. So every time we clear anything, we have more holes, you know, and then more light gets through. Then we get used to having that light, and our frequency goes up, and then we become more loving. So then we're able to handle bigger blockages. And then it's not a big deal to deal with terror or, you know, whatever, or grief, because we're equal to it, because we are the soul. Souls don't have fear. They don't even know what it is, you know? So I think transparency is this act really of, well, let's say realizing who you really are. Not just the personality, not the body, not your knowledge and your mind. It's all of the above, plus the soul, plus the collective consciousness, and eventually the unified field. So I had a paragraph here. I just wanted to read you a couple of the sentences in it because it's sort of about this. And it says, every piece of clutter you dissolve back into clear light allows your highest inner blueprint, which is your soul's purpose or destiny, to translate fluidly and accurately into the form of your life. Okay. And the clearer you become, the easier it is to evolve along with the planet. No snags, no stuckness, no suffering. So transparency is a state of being that reveals the merger of the spiritual realm and the physical world, and eliminates any distortion between them. Does that make sense? It just comes through, and it just totally is like just right, whatever you get, and you think this is perfect for this moment. No distortion, no doubt. And then transparency is a state that allows you to remember who you really are, which is I'm the soul, with a personality that I'm making here, and a body and a life, and how ideally life can work. It's the experience of intimate connection with what's most real, right? So all those negative thinking and all that stuff where you were contracted, when you become transparent, it turns into its opposite thing. And that's the easiest way I know to clear things, by the way, and to become transparent, is take a look at what you consider to be negative or contractive or stuck, feel it, and then try on the opposite reality. Feel that, imagine it, and this could be your normal reality. What if it were? Well, then whatever you put your attention on is the reality. So if you go back to, well, I can't do this and I don't ever do that, and well, then that's your reality, and you'll have those contractions. All right. So Robin mentioned horizontal and vertical transparency. I just made up those terms because I realized that I was thinking of transparency in a whole different way than most people were in the world. Most people were thinking transparency means information that's truthful and accurate, and people aren't hiding and telling lies about information. That we have freedom of speech, we have the Freedom of Information Act and all that. And so that to me is horizontal. That's what's going on in the physical world, person to person, where we still think life is just physical. And so horizontal transparency is the way we represent ourselves to each other in the physical world, how honest we are, you know, and how clear we are with giving everybody the information they need. It does take trust, right? It does take trust. But vertical transparency is what we've kind of been hinting at all along, which is that there is a clearing between the physical and non-physical realm. There's no more line. In other words, the physical world has come up enough in frequency that it starts to match the frequency of the non-physical world more and more. So there's a sharing, a merging, an interpenetration of the two realms, so that you eventually you just get this revelation that, oh my gosh, this world is the other world. You know, the heavens in the earth. You know, that spirit is inside my body. I am the soul, and it's inside matter, and everything is full of the soul or the light. You start to see the physical plane in an entirely different way, that it is, you know, alive. And so that vertical process, I think, is the key thing. It's something we're going to do within ourselves. We're going to clear ourselves, and we're going to stop acting out of fear. So any questions? I mean, I'm kind of rattling on here for a while. Anybody have any thoughts or questions that you want to just share at this point?
I'm monitoring the chat, and
okay.
I don't know that we've had a speaker who has lit everybody up so much. I mean, this is something that people are just really attuning to, and I just want to let you know that. It's super exciting for me too.
Okay. Well, please feel free to put something in the chat or ask a question as we go along. I'm happy to, you know, be interrupted.
I have my hand up.
Okay.
Or my blue hand. Yeah, I think my name's John Penney, and my question is about the intersection between the vertical and the horizontal planes. You mentioned toward the end that the vertical sort of disappears and just becomes integrated in everything.
Right.
I wonder if the result of opening on the vertical isn't a more successful horizontal.
Exactly right. In fact, I think in a way it's sort of you know, it's like the heart chakra is the divine marriage place, and it's like the cross, you know, the Christian cross even, you know, the point of the horizontal and vertical is the heart center, and that is also the opening of the heart as the world you live in. You know, it's like it expands to the sphere, which is the new reality. It's not linear, it's spherical now.
So is the manifestation of this personal development the horizontal, the manifestation in the material world?
It's not that alone anymore, but it is, I think, that we start to materialize forms that are full of spirit, that are both, you know, they're not just, you know, an object. The way we bring things in and even let things go, like birth and death, you know, it's all this beautiful sacred process. So I think it's a little different. I mean, it's going to look physical, but maybe as we get more transparent, the physical's going to have more light, you know, or fluidity of some sort. Like we're used to processes now that are very, you know, like mechanical processes. A, B, C, D, E, you know, get E. But in the new way, it might be things constantly flowing in and out and form morphing. I don't know. I mean, it could be extremely malleable. You know, whatever we need, we'll have. If we don't need it, it'll dissolve. You know, if we need the next thing, it'll come right in. So we have to get used to a greater sense of fluidity, I think, as part of this.
We have a question from Amy coming up
Yeah.
too. Amy, do you want to turn your microphone on?
So my question is, my youngest son is terminally ill. I find that joy and fear are always fighting for a place in the front of my mind. So, joy with the fact that, this is the day, like I'm only promised today with him. He's actually lived almost a year longer than they said he would so far. And he's doing so many things they didn't think he would, but fear and joy are always just right there. How do I pull away from the fear and find more joy?
I think partly we have to let people live their own lives, have their own life path to learn what they need to learn. And they do know what they're doing. And I mean, my parents have died. I still talk to them all the time. I don't feel a loss, and I just don't even feel grief anymore, hardly. It's more a sense that everything is with us, and you don't say what isn't. You look at what is, and you have relationships that continue. So to ease that part of loss, right? But also, who knows whether there's some kind of new kind of healing that might show up, or some healer who might show up. You don't know what his idea is inside of himself, what he'd like to experience.
He is pure joy. I mean, oh my goodness. I've never seen so much joy in anybody ever.
Yeah. Well, I remember hearing that, the progeria, the little kids that they don't live very long, but they look like old people, that a lot of souls come in sometimes not to stay a long time, but to teach compassion. And I've always thought about that with kids and animals too, that there's not so much attachment to having to be somebody and have your life and all this stuff that we get encumbered with in life. So passing either in or out is not a big deal. And we're in a time where healing can happen, I think, more. So, I mean, it's a fine line to walk, isn't it? To be in the moment and do what you feel like doing, and take the action that comes to you, and stay in that reality.
We try. He has a bucket list. He is amazing.
Yes, I love it. I just love it. So anybody else?
Well, you have some fascinating things coming up. I know that you want to be able to have.
I have my hand up.
We do have Brooke's hand up. Brooke Cross.
Okay, let's do Brooke, and then we'll get back into Penny's regular presentation.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm trying to follow the policies here, yes, as Diana said, what a beautiful, mind-blowing, literally, presentation. And part of it is it makes great logic. I mean, what you don't clear, you carry. What you clear transforms into something else, into it. So I don't know that this is exactly a question, but just to say that reaction is like, and then I keep having yes, but, all sorts of yes, buts, which don't seem completely irresponsible. I mean,
no.
So like, still, if my car breaks down, I need to get it repaired, and probably not wait until I do a healing with it,
Right. But you don't need to have it have a lot of snags necessarily.
Right. And then when I thought about it, I actually thought that I have a wonderful relationship with the people that do, out here, smaller town, the people that repair my car. And I went, that's, and they've done lots of great stuff for me. So it seems like
I think everything that happens to you as an experience is just right. It's there so that you can engage with something. Maybe it's an old idea about, I'm sacrificing my time because I have to go do this stupid car thing. Except, wait a minute, maybe it'd be fun to do it. And just stay in that moment.
And they have a great waiting room. I get
right.
to read and relax.
So it's more of this, like, dive into the experiential and see what comes. because there's always like an arising edge of your moment, right? There's always something right on that edge that's coming to you from, guess who? You know, and the collective. So that's the surprise of life, is the fun part. I call it the self-entertainment, you know, because I think self-entertainment is a very high state. So, yeah. So, yeah. And the yes buts are just you looking for greater depth sometimes. Okay. So let me get on with this. I don't know how, somebody remind me when I have to be done here. We're in a bridge time right now between those two realities. And just so we know that during this time, we're in that doorway. There are times where we get thrown off sides and kind of backslide and go back into the old thinking that we were programmed with, and you know, go into fear and anxiety. And then it's real important to catch yourself. Say, oh gosh, there I go again. Take a breath, come back to the center, get recentered, establish your preferred state, be in the moment, engage, see what's going on. What are you showing yourself? You know, and then as you reestablish that sense of connectedness and openness and fluidity, now you're moving through the doorway into the new intuition age reality. And you prove it to yourself, you validate it for yourself. The more you do it, and then you backslide again, and you catch yourself sooner that time. Back to the center, repeat, you know, center, 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 center. And we are going to oscillate, because that is what happens on Earth. You know, enlightened. I always told somebody I was enlightened every other minute, because it's just, that's the way it is. We're clear, and then we go back, and everybody around us is thinking the old way a lot of the time, you know? And so it is important to get around people who are thinking like you, so that you can stabilize into the new consciousness. And that new consciousness that's about transparency is not in opposition to anything. That's how you can recognize it. You're not against anything. You're seeing almost like the third point on the triangle, you know, where you see the overview, and then you look down and you see the 2 points down there that are opposing each other. And then you see how they fit together. And you're coming from the spiritual realm where there's no opposition. It's all together as one big, interrelated, mutually supportive reality. And as you go to that place and stabilize in that, that's really the basis of transparency. Because every time you take sides, you put up yes buts and shadows and blocks and stuff again. All right, so in the bridge time, I think it's important to pay attention to who you're around, and also don't frequency match people who are at a lower vibration than you are. And you can feel those. I mean, they kind of victim consciousness, or negative thinkers, or just dull people who aren't even being creative. They're apathetic or something, or depression. So don't go there with them. Hold your own state and include them in your ball. Then they get the advantage of telepathically and kinesthetically feeling your energy as a kind of an example. And you don't have to save them or fix them. You give them the choice by offering your state to them. You know, and so again, another thing to pay attention to. Notice yourself during the day. When do I go up and clear? When did I go down and match some negative thought or something on TV, or a fear that, oh, this will happen? And then just take a breath, take your attention out of it, put it back in the moment, recreate that feeling state that you like. So that's what has to happen in the bridge time. But also, this is partly what Robin was saying, is that we hit liminal space. You're going to clear stuff. Like I went through a whole thing now during COVID of not holding my story, you know, my bio, my history, all of that. It's like, it sounded fake to me, like a litany that I was reciting, and like, I'm bored with it. You know, I don't even want it. And then I would have this feeling of nothing in the space around me. Like in my aura, I wasn't holding pictures or ideas that I was trying to communicate to other people. I just wasn't holding anything, and there was nothing there, just space. And that was a weird feeling, you know, but it was like I emptied out. And when you do that, you encounter liminal space, which is, liminal means the threshold. And it means, to me, the space before the threshold and just after the threshold. So the doorway, right? Before the doorway, you're getting ready to let go of something and make a shift, and you're preparing yourself. And it can be exciting and scary. Then you go into the doorway, and this is like the caterpillar, you know, in the pupa. And you know what happens, which is so bizarre with caterpillars, they actually melt down and become liquid. And then they reformulate themselves into the butterfly body with the same particles. And I feel like that's what we're doing too, you know, especially with COVID. It's like we're melting down a lot of our old stuff, letting it become energy in the field, and then letting it reformulate according to a new inner blueprint that comes from the diamond light body. And so during liminal space, your left brain is going to go nuts because nothing's happening. You know, what's next? Give me a plan. You know, I just need the steps, you know, to this new formula of whatever's going to happen. And the tendency to be restless and jump ahead and project and, oh gosh, all this stuff. It's so important during that time to actually enjoy the experience of resting, rejuvenating, noodling around, cleaning out your closets and getting rid of old stuff or even old thoughts, making space. And when it's time, you're actually making visions in that time. That higher part of you is rearranging all the variables into a new higher pattern. And it will download and come into the body at a certain point. It's like a critical mass point. And then you'll go, oh, wow, I think I'll do this. You know, and you got to wake up and off you go again into a new creative cycle. But the fruit has to get ripe before it falls off the tree on its own. You know, so don't try to pick it too early, you know. So that's a whole big part of this process, you know. So I'd like to have a little quickie, like a little popcorn type exercise where you can put a word or a phrase in the chat. And I just want to ask you, how do you deal with liminal space when it comes up? So just, and if somebody wants to talk, you can, but just start to add some words or just a phrase or something quick in the chat area. Anybody want to?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah. How do you deal with liminal space? Like, how does it affect you? What do you do when you have it? I breathe, I rest. That's good. Meditate. Anybody want to say anything out loud? I clean my house. That's right. That's a good one. Domestic projects. Liminal space is the space before and after a threshold where you're leaving one reality and slowly moving into a new reality. Sometimes I think of it like a boat going through the locks. You know, the ship goes in, it fills up, they go to the next level, it fills up, the next level, and they go out to the new lake or whatever. That we have to do that too. And it is a physical, emotional, and mental and spiritual process. It's not just mental. Okay. Yeah, when you're in liminal space, you are wondering what's coming. What's coming? I know the beginning of this year, I thought it's going to be such an exciting year and I'm going to expand my scope and I'm going to travel and blah, blah, blah. And then COVID hit, and all my plans got canceled, and I realized that the expanding of the scope was the internal clearing. And then as that settles, now it's interesting that all kinds of projects are starting to come my way, unsolicited opportunities and things, which is, it's very interesting. It doesn't take effort and willpower, just the state of being. Okay, so now becoming personally transparent. I think we can start with just being honest, and not brutally honest. You know, to me, honesty is like a simplicity. It's about humility, and humility is not being less than anything. It's more about being real in the moment, what I feel like, what I look like now, what I'm thinking about now, and whether I'm joyful and high and excited, or whether I'm very quiet and thoughtful, doesn't matter. That's what you are in that moment. So start with that. Let yourself be what you are, and what you have, just let it occur. You know, you have, right now I have my computer and my desk and you guys, and, you know, and then I'll have something else a little while later. But it's that flow again of the arising. So let yourself have it and engage with it, and let it go again, let it subside. And then the new thing comes in and you have it and engage, and then it subsides. And it's a wonderful rhythm. So when you show up fully with presence, you're going to notice both things that are gifts for you and things that are challenges, you know, and things you don't want to look at. But it doesn't matter what your judgment about them is. Just engage anyway and see what the message is inside. Trust the arising, you know, and clear the clutter if it comes up. Go into it and understand it. And whatever is actually false for you now, maybe it was real once, but now it doesn't have any reality for you. If you tell the truth about it, it's like, eh. All right, so clear those things, and then validate yourself for the courage to be yourself and to allow yourself to be seen, to just be there. And also forgive yourself too. I find this was a part that I went through, is that I fell for the illusion of all the victim and all the clutter and all the things everybody was saying about how the world is a place of suffering and pain. And I got into that too for a while. And then I had to say, okay, Penny, it's okay that you did that. Everybody does it, but you got out of it. And so just, to me, forgiveness really means letting things be the way they are, right? Don't resist it. You don't have to change it. Let it be, and then it moves on to the next thing.
Penny, I just want to do a time check.
Yes.
A little bit behind. I'm wondering if you want to move to the breakout, or you want to do the popcorn.
Let me see. Yes, thank you for telling me. Let me just tell you a couple things, and then we can go to breakout. But there are two other exercises I had that you can do yourself, and one of them is, what do you hide from others? You know, a lot of times we feel like we have to protect ourselves or portray ourselves in a certain way, or project something in order that we won't be rejected, annihilated, wounded, you know, punished, and so forth. So there are, you know, we will hide or avoid certain things. So you might do that later. And then what if you didn't have to hide? What would that be like if you didn't do those things? Two different realities to compare. All right. And the other thing is, part of the contraction and the fixation is a lot about holding patterns. I already mentioned this, but here are things for you to look at. What do you hold back from doing, or hold back from having, or hold back from like being more involved with people or the world? How do you hold back? The next one is, what do you hold on to for security? Things or ideas, people, habits. The next one would be, what do you hold out for? Like, I'm not going to do this until I get this. And that's another way we stall. All right. And then the last thing is, how do you hold forth when you are with other people? Maybe you are just silent, and that's your holding forth, or maybe you take up space in the room. Maybe you are charming. Do you try to control a social situation in any way? So the holding patterns are really good ones to look at and turn around to the opposite thing. Like, what if I don't have that right now and I don't do that? What would my life be like?
Patty, why don't we ask people to put in the chat a holding pattern? I think.
What did I have here for it?
Said one word of.
I think what I wanted to put in the chat was, are we ready for that now? Is that what you want to do next? Okay. So if others could see the real you and accept all of you, how might it change how you act? So I'll repeat that. If other people could really see the real you and accept all of you, how might it change how you act?
Everybody, we're all coming back in. I know that was pretty fast, huh? It was, could have gone on and on, I think, a lot of us, but welcome back to the bigger group. We'll wait, people are all coming. Let's see, is everyone back? I think mostly everybody's here. All right, so how about a reaction? How was that to get to explore that? People enjoy being with their small groups? Yeah, good. Thank you for giving me some feedback there.
If there's one person out of each of the groups, maybe who has one thing that they could share briefly, we might get a little bit of debriefing.
Yeah, so who would like to, you can use your blue hands again if you'd like, and tell us.
Patricia raising her hand there.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
All of us were really excited about this fact that you articulated what we have been experiencing, and you used different words and different frames of reference, but very much what has been going on within us. And it was so encouraging, Penny, to say,
I'm glad.
all of these writings, all of the things that I have been embracing in COVID, especially sitting in the silence and allowing the deeper voice to speak, and ridding yourself of a lot of clutter, and recognizing the collective consciousness that will swoop in, and how you go, oh no, and then try to get, as you said, grab the truth. And anyway, I'm talking too long, but I want to thank you personally. I am just thrilled to hear your way of interpretation of what we're all in.
Thank you.
We're in.
Thank you, Patty. Okay, who else would like the chance to talk? Let's see.
John Destrakos has his hand up next.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you. What I really noted, I don't want to share what I shared in the room. What I'd like to say is, the moment the three of us were together, it felt like total acceptance just among the three of us. And we did all three have something to say, and each was a little different, but all three also felt like they were saying the same thing to me. It was like we were in that unified space.
Oh, nice.
Even as we also spoke. That's what it was for me.
Nice. Great.
And Lisa has her hand up next.
Okay.
Hi, Penny. I'm being forced this last couple of years to clear out things. To clear out things that I no longer, how do I say it? they're not necessarily mine, but I have to do it. It's a family legal thing, and it's like releasing and clearing. And I'm on my final clearing right now, and I was sitting there looking at myself in the past of all of these papers, all of these books, all of the people that I had to deal with. And all of a sudden it was like last night, it was like, I'm not this person anymore.
Right.
This is not me. As I threw everything out, it wasn't me.
Right. Oh boy, that is it. That's this whole symbolic thing of what we've been doing. Whether
Yeah.
it's clothes, you know, or papers or whatever.
It was the physical clutter, but it was also the spiritual, mental. It was like everything that clutter represented was released. And it was weird because it was like I was empty. I was like going, this isn't me. This is who I was, but this isn't who I am now. This isn't where I'm going. And so by you saying being transparent today, it was like, that's what it was. It was like there was nothing left.
Right. That's the feeling. And it feels really odd at first when you go into that kind of empty, spacious thing and you don't have your, you know, identities around you. But then you're just a viewpoint and things pop into your head anyway. And then you do things and then you see what choices you're making. It's really interesting. So, but I just wanted to, I wanted to make another point because I know we're running a bit late here. The one other point I wanted to make for you all is that when you do get more transparent, the first thing is you allow yourself to be seen. And that means vulnerability at first. But then vulnerability is something that is actually very powerful because it's common to all human beings. We think it's just mine alone, but it's not. We've all had probably a million lifetimes. We've all done everything, you know, and it's no biggie. And it gives us a ground to find commonality on. So not to try to hide the vulnerability parts, but to just be almost like curious about them. Well, yeah, I did this, you know, or this happened. And so do that. And when you let yourself be seen, what's ironic or interesting is that you can then see other people. You can see through their vulnerability into who they really are as souls. You accept all of them, their foibles, their beauty, their gifts, and you accept all of your own. So it doesn't matter if you start with yourself, you'll see it with others. If you start with looking at it for others, you'll see it with yourself. It always happens both. Inside, outside, because it's one world. And when you start seeing through people and into the core of who we are, then you can start, oddly, you start to see through problems, situations, conundrums in the world. You don't just stop at the superficial problem level or irritation level when you look at certain things. You go, well, let me fall through that. Let me see what's at the core. What's really going on here? What's in the energy world? And so you get this kind of Superman's X-ray vision. And it's a very contagious thing. So the more you like yourself and you're happy being the full self, then other people pick that up from you and they're more happy being themselves. It starts to, you know, like spread like Ice 9 or something, you know. So it's a great practice, you know, it's magic. So, yeah. So Robin, I know you have, I'm going to skip the other thing I was going to do. So whatever else you want to finish up with.
We will have, Penny had said if we did run a little late, we will stay on. We'll end on time, but then we'll stay on another 5 or 10 minutes if you guys have extra questions. So everybody can get their questions answered. And also maybe Penny has a little closing reading that she was going to do. We'll move that also to after we end if people can stay. So we can get that. But right now, let's go ahead and move to, well, I'd like to ask in the chat, at the beginning today, we asked you how transparent you think you are. And after hearing more about what transparency really is, I wonder if you see any difference now from what you thought at the beginning to now. So if we asked you again now, how transparent are you? You know, how transparent are you really allowing yourselves to be? Would you have the same or not? So maybe just in the chat, yes, the same, or more, less, no difference. I'm just curious if you guys think that you have the same number.
I'm loving all your comments. These are great things that you put in here.
Still an 8, moving to a 9. Okay, that was you. Harry, a bit more. Way more transparent, Diana. Okay. Yeah, all right. Something to aspire to for sure. Okay, and then I think we'll move now into the, well, we have a last question for Penny. I want to make sure we get this in. So what's currently got your attention, Penny? What are you working on? How can we learn more? Where's your passion right now? What's your leading edge?
Yeah, I spent the earlier part of the year trying to figure out how to do online on-demand courses from a couple of previous things that I did. Editing the videos, finding a learning platform, designing and writing and blah, blah, blah. And I finally got 4 of them up. So they're on my courses page on my website. And I kind of wanted that to be like complete that so that I could start a new book. Oh, thank you for putting that up. That's one of the daily subscriptions that I have, and it's 7 different categories. There they are. Each day there's a different kind of idea, so it doesn't get boring. Yeah. So right now I have two thoughts about books. I wanted to write a book about ego and ego death, and how really this whole acceleration is causing us to move beyond the left brain and the identity as an ego. And what does that look like when ego starts to die, you know, or give up its dominance and narcissism and all this stuff that we're facing, you know, today in the world. So that's still there. But I also have a thought about writing something about money and applying these principles of the intuition age to how we deal with money. So I'm kind of outlining both of them, but I'm going to start in on them really soon here. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have an in-person event, which is a sound healing concert and lunch that's hosted by Dr. Yuan. One of our members. Is going to be an amazing, you can read more about it. There it is. There's a picture of it, but it's a great way to connect in person, and we'll do social distancing there. On the 28th, we have one of my favorite speakers, human beings in the world, somebody who is completely transparent, is Alan Cohen. He's the author of 13 popular inspirational books. I met him in the Soviet Union and he was very instrumental in the Inside Edge being born 35 years ago. So that's a real treat. And then we have our first virtual Inside Edge Awards Gala, which is going to be on the November 11th. That's 11/11 at 5 p.m. Special guests are Jack Canfield and Barbara DeAngelis, who will be sharing some wonderful memories of how the Inside Edge impacted their lives before they'd ever written any books. So it's going to be a magical evening, and you only have to wear a black tie at the top. Or whatever you want, I guess.
a black mask.
Black mask, right. Back to you, Robin.
Okay, so just want to make sure you know we're not going to have a speaker next week. It's because we're having our annual members meeting instead at the same time slot. Once a year we do a member, kind of like a State of the Union and an interaction with our membership. So we won't be meeting for a speaker next week, but all of you members are more than welcome to join us, you know, for our member meeting. And then again, we'll do, Alan will be the following week. Alan Cohen. So just to make sure you're not confused about next week. Okay, so the only other thing is, any of you who came for the first time, you're welcome to come again for Alan Cohen for free. And Rebecca's going to be following up with an email of how you can do that with a free promotional code. So we love our guests, and please come back and join us again and hang out with us some more. So that's my announcements. I think we're going to just close now with a quick connection. If you can put yourselves on the gallery view and see each other, let's just take a moment to look at each beautiful face here and just see transparently. Let's put on our transparent diamond body and really see with those eyes each of these beautiful people in our audience, in our little soul group here. And as we see their faces come up, send them some beautiful energy. He looks pretty transparent, that Bill. And there's transparent Brooke. Just practice being transparent with us in this safe environment, and we'll see all of you. Beautiful Penny, our role model. Thank you. Oh, and Thea, thank you for joining us. Sharon, we wouldn't be here without you. Yay. Beautiful. And there, Nisha. Hi, Nisha. And there's my Harry. Thanks for being there. And Patty.
Penny, I love the analogy in your book of the butterfly, well, the caterpillar to the cocoon and then liquefying. And I never knew that before.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds so transparent, as if, you know, in the process of maybe the horizontal to the vertical. And I never knew that scientifically. And then shortly thereafter, I saw it on PBS. And they actually showed how it changes color and in the liquidity of that. And it seems to me that we're in that stage right now as we're shifting into the fifth. Would that be a true statement?
Oh, absolutely. But I think we're doing it in waves. You know, some people are really have been in it and are going into deeper levels, and other people are getting drawn into it, you know, more and more, and other people are just resisting it totally. You know, they don't want to give up their security. So it's all across the board. That's why I say it's kind of that bridge time. But absolutely, I think it's the meltdown reformulation time.
And that's what I feel. We are melting down, and we've had, well, I'll speak for myself, the pandemic and the political, just absolutely exhausting, fatiguing, to be part of that and transform that.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a moment to moment transformation in your own self, I think. You know, like, do you want to go into the worst possible scenario thoughts and put your attention on, you know, how many people are suffering? Or can you just stay in that home frequency state, you know, that where you are the soul in the body, and just don't add to the oppositional thinking. That's all I know, is that every time you go into voting for the worst thing, you know, by fantasizing about it and holding those thoughts, you drop down to that level.
That brings up something for me too, Penny, that went by very quickly, and it was a metaphor of the triangle, and of the top of the triangle being that transparent self, that diamond light, and the bottom being the polarities. I mean, I think that is really valuable. Because that's something that can help me move and see my movement.
You know, I just did another talk like this for the Pure Presence Summit, and it's on my website and on my Facebook page. But in that talk, I actually did the whole creation cycle with the triangle model. going
Cool.
from the top down and around and back up again.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a useful model to use. So if you want to look at that, it's on YouTube now.
Terrific.
So
And also, you know, you said you had a choice between doing 2 books, and
Mm-hmm.
the one that jumps out at me is the one about ego death. I think there's a
Uh-huh.
lot of really good books out there about, you know.
There's not very many around this way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been amassing information all year as well.
Well, good. Then just write them both very fast.
One with each hand, right? It's like.
I see Lisa has another question.
Penny, there's 2 things. I also was wanting to say about money. The way in which you are presenting everything, I don't think anybody's really presented money that way.
No, I've been researching other books that are out that, you know, Maria Namath has one on the energy of money, and there's, you know, stuff, but
Right.
it's not the same way of thinking about it. And it would be a small book, you know, just something simple. I think
But
if I
it
could
could
ever
be
do
it could be an
simple, I don't.
ebook. Penny, it could be an ebook and you follow with a course or something. But I think that
Right, yeah.
what you're bringing to us is so powerful, but it's subtly powerful and it's kind of underneath the radar.
Yeah.
So that's what I like. This is my question for you, please. That Diana made me think of the second one first. My first question is, you had a wonderful list of what are you holding on to. Is that in any of your books as a list or something like that, or
Yeah,
is that
it's in Transparency.
Okay,
It's one of
thank
the try this exercises.
Okay.
And Penny, Lisa seems to know about your take on money. Could you just say a few sentences on how you see that?
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Well, I was thinking of calling the book "I Love Money and Money Loves Me."
Oh.
But
I love that.
I think of money like a dog, like it's a sweet little innocent creature that obeys you what you need it to do, and if you love it, it loves you back. And it's a way of just feeling it as an obedient. It flows where you want it to flow. It comes to you, it goes away, whatever you want it to do. So that's my key thought on it.
I love
Well, thank you.
That is
Thank you.
different. That is new.
Yeah.
Plus, you would have to treat it like a dog. You'd have to feed it. You'd have to love it.
Right,
You'd have
that's
to
right.
hold it. You'd have
Yeah,
to.
exactly.
It would be a different relationship versus just, you know, I have some money.
You have to
Right.
cherish
Right, or I
it.
have to have some, you know, or whatever. Yeah, it's a different, friendlier way of, you know, really feeling it, what it is.
Jane had her hand up again.
Yeah.
Yes. So an ongoing challenge in my life is bringing in people and having that sense of family and connectedness. And I'm sure I have some thoughts about it's hard to do and how am I going to make it happen? Can you say anything about that, Penny?
Well, I think that if you think of your energy field as a big ball,
Mm-hmm.
and that the frequency level that you're creating any moment to moment or stabilizing yourself at, which is, you know, this transparency thing, or this idea that I am the soul in the body and I contain all these ideas and potential realities, and all the people are in me. And yet the vibration is like a tuning fork. You strike at the ding, you know, the tone of your own kind of soul in the body home frequency. And then that radiates out through your ball. And that tone and feeling state then is what you live in, and it acts as a set of instructions to the larger unified field. So if you want people on your wavelength, you've got to stabilize your wavelength first.
Okay.
You know, you've got to have one vibe that is the filter, right, for opportunities, people, you know, whatever. And then what happens is you don't attract things anymore because there's no outside world to attract from, but instead it emerges out of the field. And people and opportunities just show up.
Great. Thank you.
according to your, directions, which is your frequency.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody
Yeah.
else? I wanted,
Nisha,
Nisha,
has got some.
okay.
You
Nisha,
have to
go ahead.
Unmute yourself.
Nisha. You have to click your microphone, unmute down at the bottom of your screen, probably. Or maybe Rebecca.
Or you can hold the space bar down if you're at a computer or something.
Nisha, I sent you,
Well,
there you go.
Oh, there she is. There she is.
Can you hear me? Can
Yes.
you hear me now? I just want to say how much I've enjoyed this. I don't really have a question, but you have enlightened me so nicely, Penny. I can't wait to learn more. I'm just delighted, and one of the things that I don't do typically is voice my thoughts, and here I am giving it a try.
There you go.
And
You're unmuted.
I am unmuted and
Yeah.
waved my hand. So anyway, that's. I just want to let you know how much I appreciate it. And so far, I'm trying it with this huge group of, what are we, 12 now? And anyway, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
That's it.
Who else has a comment or something they'd like to share? Kind of last call here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's Amy.
Gail.
And
Amy,
Gail.
And Gail. Gail first,
Okay,
I guess, because that was called first.
I just think of giving ourselves permission, because I feel most of the time I have so much bubbling up inside me, and then for me to hold back, it's kind of not being fair to the others, because I think what I have to share from inside is goodness. So I
Well,
think giving ourselves permission
Yeah, absolutely.
and not
Because
saying that
they
we're
might need it. They may need exactly what you're ready to offer.
yeah, I like to think that way.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And Amy, I guess you were next,
And then Thea.
and then Thea.
Okay. So the way you said, like, people just show up really resonates with me, because I read the book, The Secret, and then I joined Mike Dooley's 21-day writing thing, and I met Diana. And since then, doors and people have just been like opening, and I'm talking to people I never thought I would talk to. I live in a very tiny town in the middle of Illinois, and so I'm just like, I have no idea. And people are like, well, how did you even talk to these people? How did you meet this person? I was like, I don't know. I can't explain. I can't. They just showed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
very
Great
magical.
essence.
I love that word magic,
Yes,
and you use that word sometimes, don't you, Penny?
I do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great confirmation, that we are being transparent. We are in synchronicity with the larger energies in our life. So
Yeah.
good for you, Amy. You're way ahead of the curve. You're so young.
Right.
Aw.
Okay, who else was it next?
Thea.
Yeah, hi.
You're muted though, Thea.
Yeah, but she says she doesn't have any.
Okay, there you
I
go.
am. I didn't actually raise my hand, but
Oh,
Penny,
okay.
it's been delightful. And yeah, delightful for sure. And I'm realizing I get to have another conversation with you. If you go back and look at the records, that it's been almost a year.
Ah,
And yeah, there's a conversation that's been paid for. So I'll be in touch with you
okay, great,
to follow through.
great.
And
Great.
for everyone else on the call, if you have not done a personal consultation with Penny, it's a very amazing experience. So I'll do a little promo for you.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
really
you.
quite amazing. So I thank you for offering that to the world as well, because life can be way more than you think.
Oh, yes. Boy,
Can you
that-
tell us
can I-
about how you work with people and do consultations?
Well, of course, on phone or Zoom, but I like to do a little bit of numerology in the beginning, just so I get the pattern of the person's life, the overview. Then I don't know, I just start to get stuff. But usually I like to have their questions like what's up, you know, what's shifting, and then where might things go, how long might, you know, logistics will come through. Sometimes it's stuff about the form world, like what it'll look like, and sometimes it's more the inner process, what has to happen before the form will come. So it's different at different times, but I'm always looking at how the life is going to unfold. So
Sounds wonderful.
Sounds great.
Okay, well, I think we're about ready to wrap up. Thank you so much for staying this extra time.
Yeah.
So we're
Oh,
just
gosh,
so
yeah.
excited to get more
Thank
of
you so
I
much.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Amy, did you have something else? Oh, you just moved. Okay.
Waiting
All
to
right.
walk.
Well, I think we'll go ahead
All right.
and this complete.
Okay.
Now, please, Thea, we'd love to have you back. Everybody actually
Thank you,
would love to have
Robin.
you back. So come practice transparency with us.
Right.
Do it again.
Yeah. Thank you all so much.
And
It was
thank you,
great.
Robin. Love you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You too.
Thank you, Robin, for bringing
Have a
it
good-
Penny. Thank you, and everybody else. Thank you.
Okay. Have a
Okay.
great week, you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.